Very good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime News here on TV1. You are joining me, David Paldano. Now, before we head into your stories in more detail, let's first take a look at your headlines.
Global human rights movement Amnesty International issues travel warning for the US due to rampant gun violence. 63 houses in Matale, Dambulla and Narayanpeta damaged due to strong winds. Sri Lanka becomes a signatory of the International Arbitration Agreement.
In one of your headline-making stories now, Amnesty International issued a travel warning today calling for possible travelers and visitors to the United States to exercise extreme caution when traveling throughout the country due to rampant gun violence. Amnesty International says it aims to hold up a mirror to the United States using the model of the United States Department of State's travel advisory for U.S. travelers to other countries. The travel advisory addressed growing gun violence, mostly hate crimes, including racism and discrimination, highlighting that the traveler's race, country of origin, ethnic background, sexual orientation, or gender identity may place them at a higher risk after recent attacks linked to white supremacy ideologies. The action called on attention to an extent to which all aspects of life in the United States have been compromised in some way by access to guns without comprehensive and uniform regulations of their acquisition and use. By prioritizing gun ownership over basic human rights, the US government is willfully and systematically failing on multiple levels and ignoring its international obligation to protect people's rights and safety. Amnesty International has been calling for common sense reforms regarding the use and possession of firearms, including comprehensive background checks, national regulations for registering and licensing firearms, required training, a ban on high-capacity magazines or assault weapons, and mandatory safe storage laws. Amnesty International USA's campaign to end gun violence has focused efforts on passing S.42, the assault weapon ban, and the Disarm Hate Act. Several houses in a number of areas have been damaged as a result of strong winds.
Deputy Director of the DMC, Pradeep Kodipidi, noted 25 houses were damaged in several areas in the Matale district. Around 30 houses were damaged in the Kalawagahela, Aludgama, Waulambe and Lendora North areas in the Dabula Divisional Secretariat due to strong winds that swept through last evening. According to our correspondent, some electricity and telephone towers have been damaged. Two children from Lendora and Aludgama areas sustained injuries after a tree fell on their house. One of the injured was admitted to the Dambulla General Hospital, while the other child was admitted to the Lendora Hospital. 10 houses in the Narahempita Hadbodiavatte area were damaged due to strong winds. Power supply to several areas were also disrupted due to strong winds and heavy rain. The spokesperson at the Ministry of Power and Renewable Energy, Sulakshana Dayavardhana, said incidents where trees falling onto electric cables were reported in many areas. Accordingly, several incidents of disruption of power supply were reported in Dehiwala, Malabe, Homagama, Kosgama, Putlam, Nikavaratia and Damulla. He further noted measures have been taken to bring back the situation to normalcy. Meanwhile, the railway control room said train travel between Kalani Valley and Chilla main routes have been brought back to normalcy. The Dalua area in Kalpiti was also affected due to strong winds and heavy rains experienced around midnight last night. Roofs of 5 houses and 10 shops were blown away due to strong winds. Meanwhile, the Met Department notes showers or thunder showers will occur at times in western, Sabaragamu, central, southern and northwestern provinces, with several spells of showers occurring in the Mana, Jaffna and Anuradhapura districts. Heavy falls of about 100 millimeters are likely according to the Met Department in some places in the western, central, northwestern and Sabaragamu provinces and in Gaul and Mathura districts. Sudden increase of wind speed up to 80 km per hour can be expected over the sea areas extending from Putlam to Trincomalee via Mena. A housing complex in Mattegoda was damaged due to strong winds last night. Our correspondent noted a tree had fallen onto a house situated near the Mattegoda post office. A tree had also fallen onto the maternity ward at the Gampaha district hospital. Our correspondent noted no injuries were reported.
In another one of your headline-making stories now, Sri Lanka has signed an international arbitration agreement. Minister of Justice Thalaga Attukorala signed the agreement in Singapore during the Singapore Convention on Intervention in Singapore. With the signing of this agreement, the two countries will be able to resolve disputes that arise in commercial agreements. It also provides the opportunity to enforce it through a judicial process. Agreements that have been signed between the countries can be resolved in a manner that is internationally recognized. The Ministry of Justice stated that with the signing of this international agreement, foreign investors will be more likely to do business in Sri Lanka. The United Nations ratified the convention in December last year. State Minister of Defence Ruwan Wijewardena expressed these views at a function held at the Sri Lanka Foundation Institute yesterday. No, there are no conflicts in the party. What we discuss the most is that who will be the next presidential candidate. Sometimes it becomes a heated debate. But there were issues like this in the party. So it's happening in every election. So there is no division in the party. Only the working committee cannot take this decision. The parliamentary group has decided to come together and discuss the matter.
පාර්ලිමේන්තු මන්ත්‍රී කණ්ඩායම ඉතින් මේ සියල්ලක්ම එකතු වෙලා කතා වෙලා සාකච්ඡා වෙලා තමයි තීරණය ගන්නෙ.
UMP MP Marikar attended several events held in Colombo yesterday.
The construction activities and laying asphalt on roads in the Colombo East Divisional Secretariat commenced yesterday. Yes, it is essential to build an alliance because we have to win with an alliance. But at the same time, we cannot agree to the constitution that was made by the UPFA because whatever alliance is formed, after the candidate comes, they have to paste posters, hold meetings, go on canvassing, erect cutouts. All the UNPs need 80% of the UPFA's majority decision-making power. There is no point in making alliances without doing so. He should stand with the poor, should understand UNPS. Likewise, there should be a plan to develop the country, should be able to compete with the young generation. The parliamentary system should change. We are going to appoint a president for 52 years.
මේ ඔක්කොම මේව කරන්න අවුරුදු 52 ජනාධිපතිවරයෙක් අපි පත් කරනවා. අනිවාර්යෙන් දිනනවා.
Indian Deputy High Commissioner to Sri Lanka Dhirendra Singh called on the chief prelates of the Malwatu and Askiri chapters yesterday. The Indian Deputy High Commissioner called on the most venerable Mahanayaka Theros to inform Ladakh of being separated as a Buddhist area. The Deputy High Commissioner added that Ladakh is the only state with a Buddhist majority. The Indian central government has officially announced this decision according to the Indian Deputy High Commissioner. The Permanent High Court trial at Bar today acquitted and released former President Chief of Staff Gamini Senarath, Priyadasa Kudabalage and Lasantha Bandara from all charges, including the criminal breach of trust for allegedly misappropriating 500 million rupees belonging to Litrogas, Lanka. There are plenty of people in the country who are unable to meet basic needs. The government, the door-to-door initiative, with the objective of identifying such of the people's problems, travelled to Putlam, Kilinochchi and the Badulla districts today.
We met a group of people in the Kevil village in Maradankani who have to use boats to travel during rainy season as almost all the roads in the area get inundated. However, they do not have any relief during the dry season as well because the heat becomes unbearable. This footage makes it clear the hardships these people face on a daily basis. The nearest town for these people is the Kilinochchi town.